everybody, and thank you for tuning into the Silly Goose Sports Talk. I am Big T.
And I'm Skippy. Before we get into this episode, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because it helps us bring you take of the latest sports news. As you can tell, Timmy was doing the intro today, so that's nice. Brennan is in the middle of the woods doing something. So, we're swapping him out. It's been a minute since we've had a Brendan, Timmy, Skippy episode.
Yeah, we need to do that
next week, boys. Next week, we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Brendan's in the middle of the woods doing who knows what.
Yeah,
kidnapping cats or something.
As long as I'm not scheduled Tuesday night at work, I will be back full time.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we are going to get right into sports.
Into the NFL.
Into the NFL, of course. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers 7-4, right off off the firing of Matt Canada. Timmy, did you know he was fired?
Yes, I saw that, and I was like, "Oh, Skippy's gonna love this."
Oh my gosh, yes, sir. It was beautiful. All right, but now for the kicker. You know what happens when you get rid of a just terrible offense coordinator. You know what happens? We put up 400 yards on the board. Kenny Pickett, 24 for 33, pretty good. 278 yards, 0 interceptions, very touchdowns.
Yeah,
Najee Harris, 99 yards. 1 touchdown. Jalen Warren, 49 yards. Again, not a ton of touchdowns this game, but it's all right.
Let me tell you something. Jalen Warren is creeping down Najee Harris's back for that number 1 running back spot right now. I see Warren doing a lot more explosive plays than Harris has ever done. So,
But still. If you look at the team stats, 421 yards for the Steelers, 222 yards for the Bengals, 268 passing yards, 197 Bengals yards, 153 rushing yards, 25 Bengals rushing yards, 6.2 average yards per play, 5.4 average yards per play. We are doing beautiful. 22 first downs. Our third down efficiency, not great. 8 for 17, so really not fantastic. But not bad at all. We had the ball most of the game. Our defense was working. We put 4 sacks on them. It was great. It was really good.
Yeah, but you don't need to light the world on fire when you're playing the Bengals team that doesn't have Joe Burrow. So
that is true. But the Pittsburgh Steelers did put up 16-10 to the Bengals.
That's nice to see them get the win. Who are they playing?
We are going to be playing the Cardinals. So we'll see that. The Cardinals are also currently 2-10, so that should be a
it very well
win.
Could be. You don't want to see a letdown game there. But meanwhile, in Washington, they played against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving, and things started out okay, and then Dallas happened, and let's just read out those stats right now. You had Sam Howell going 28 of 44. You think, oh, that's decent. He threw for 300 yards. Oh, good on him. He didn't throw any touchdowns. He threw a singular pick. And, that doesn't help much when Dak Prescott goes 22 of 32 for 331 yards and 4 touchdowns. Running the ball was okay. You had Brian Robinson going 15 carries for 53 yards. He could never really get going. Meanwhile, Tony Pollard had 13 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown, so Pollard really went crazy. You did have Curtis Samuel kind of going off right this week. He had 9 receptions for 100 yards, so he got himself some nice fantasy points. And Brandon Cooks had 4 receptions, 72 yards, and a touchdown for Dallas. 45-10 final. That was terrible for Washington. Again, Howell, 28-44, 300 yards and a pick. Antonio Gibson had 6 carries for 21 yards. Really nothing special right there. And you did have Sam Howell having 2 rushing carries for 13 yards, and he scored the Washington's lone touchdown right there. You had Jahan Dotson going 5 receptions, 52 yards. McLaurin, 4 receptions for 50 yards. Cole Turner having a nice blast for 29 yards. Byron Pringle finally getting going, 2 for 27. And not really much otherwise. On the overview, you did have them getting out-yarded 431 to 376. Then did outrush them 108 to 100, not really too much. 23 first downs, beating Dallas's 21, however, but 7 of 15 on third down, whilst Dallas had 6 of 10. Fourth down is what really killed Washington. 0 of 3 for fourth down when Dallas never went for it on fourth down. Sam Howell got sacked 4 times, which really killed things. And then, even though Washington led the time of possession by 13 minutes, you really can't do much when you have such a stacked team on that other end. You can't with this team, especially with that defensive front that is really shorthanded without Montez Sweat and Chase Young. It's really looking forward to next year, and also looking forward to next week against the Dolphins, which should not. I'm not looking forward to that one. We might need to get Tibor on to talk about that game next week.
Yeah.
But that is pretty much all we got for Washington this week. We will go on to the college football realms and what's going on in the world over there.
The Penn State Nittany Lions football. We are currently third in the Big Ten, so that's lovely.
Good on them.
All right, so we played the Michigan State, and we absolutely crushed them, 42-0. Drew Aller had a good game, 17-26, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, great game. We had people like Nick Singleton, 118 yards, 1 touchdown. Ken Allen pulled a lot of weight, 137 yards. Theo Johnston scored a touchdown. Tyler Warren scored a touchdown. He had 222 yards. Kalen Allen scored a touchdown. Again, it was a really great game against Michigan State. 586 total yards against Michigan's really kind of sad. 33, 53, 303 passing yards, 280 rushing yards. Again, great game.
Yeah.
I believe that's it until the playoffs, though.
They should be getting a bowl game right there. I've not been following college football as closely as I had in years past. What are they in the CFP rankings this week, Skippy, my boy?
Am I supposed to CFP rankings?
Yeah, we can just take a peek at those rankings a little bit just to see who the top dogs are.
Hold on.
No, we have the AP up on Google.
We are currently 10th in the CFP playoffs.
So they'll be getting a nice ball game.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech, on the other hand, they played Virginia Cavaliers. Both teams not really had what they were looking for this year, but Virginia Tech actually put the hammer down on them for once. You had Kyron Drones going 10 of 22, not really good passing line, 244 yards and 3 touchdowns passing. Then, but you did have Bayshul Tootin rushing for 16 carries, 117 yards and a touchdown. Then Daquan Felton had 3 receptions for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. You did have Stephen Gosnell getting a 44-yard touchdown reception. Then you had a bunch of other big runs. You had Tucker Holloway, 33-yard run, another Tootin, 32-yard run. Daquan Felton had an 84-yard touchdown. And then you had Bayshul Tootin also having a 94-yard kick return. Sprinkle a couple Virginia touchdowns in there. You had Fulton getting another touchdown pass, 34 yards on this one. And then Malachi Thomas caps off the scoring with a 7-yard touchdown run, making the final score 55-17. You really had Virginia Tech putting the hammer down yard-wise, out-yarding the Cavaliers 500 to 286. And then you had good old things on the first downs. Virginia actually out first downed the Hokies. However, the Hokies had a bunch of big plays, so they didn't really need to first down it. And the Hokies' third down efficiency was kind of poo-poo as they went 6 for 15, while on fourth down they were 2 for 2. You did have each team giving away a fumble, and Virginia led the time of possession by just over 2 minutes. So Virginia Tech... Yeah. Bowl eligible for one again, but not really what you wanted this year. Maybe they'll get an okay bowl game, probably playing some like Mountain West team or something silly like that. But on to next year for the Hokies, I think they'll be having something good going on over there. And what do you want? Anything on the Virginia side of that game you want to?
Really not. We're 3-9. It's been a bad season, bad year.
Yeah.
And just losing to Tech, just little cherry on top for a bad year.
Yeah, but the Maryland Terrapins actually brought a good year together, even though they're in the Big Ten playing a bunch of powerhouse teams. They did end up capping off their season against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, that was a pretty good game all around the board. You had Tualia in one of his final college football games going 24-31 for 361 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. And you had Roman Hemby going 15 carries for 113 yards. Ty Felton, 5 receptions, 144 yards and a touchdown. And then Felton's touchdown kicked off the game. And then you had Tualia running one himself. And then Hemby had a 17-yard pass from Tagovailoa to make the game 21-3. Corey Dyches had another long touchdown pass, 44 yards on that one. And then Billy Edwards had a 1-yard touchdown run and another 1-yard touchdown run. Sprinkling another Rutgers touchdown in there and makes the game 42-24 in Maryland final. Maryland outyarded the Rutgers Scarlet Knights 498-355, and they pretty much dominated this game all across the board. You had Terrapins only lost 1 fumble, and both teams threw a pick, but again, Rutgers had the time of possession battle, but because Maryland, every time they got on the field, they just kept scoring, and they're unstoppable on offense, so you didn't really need to have the ball that much when every time you have it, you just go into the end zone. And, Maryland should probably have a good bowl game. I don't think it'll be anything too exciting. I think they just played solidly this year, and I just hope to see Tualia get some conversation on draft day. I don't know if he'll be the one getting drafted, but I'd like to see his name being in the conversation because he had a spectacular few years with the Maryland Terrapins right here, and it's going to be sad to see him moving on. Meanwhile, James Madison had some good news this week as somebody lost. I don't remember who, but now with James Madison's win this week, 56-14 over the Coastal Carolinas, they are bowl eligible. So, Jordan McLeod is that guy as he went 26-35, 324 yards for 5 touchdowns, only 1 pick. You had Tyson Lawton, 14 carries, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Then Elijah Surratt, I think Surratt, 6 receptions, 107 yards, and 3 touchdowns. You had McLeod running one himself. Reggie Brown, 29-yard pass, touchdown. Surratt had a run. Then Lawton had another touchdown run. Surratt had a 4-yard touchdown pass from McLeod. And then Coastal got a touchdown, and then Surratt had another touchdown reception. And then Horton and Surratt had 2 more touchdowns at the end. And Coastal got a garbage time touchdown, making the final score 56-14. You had JMU out-yarding the Coastal boys 481-328. Then you had time of possession was the JMU Dukes this time. They had that by at least 5 minutes. Coastal lost 3 fumbles, so that's pretty much looks like what got the game out of hand. Both teams were not really good on the 3rd down. But it's nice to see JMU. They should be getting themselves a nice bowl game, and proud of them in their first year of FBS play. I think they really exceeded expectations, and it's going to be really nice to see what they can do in the future. So,
yeah,
I'm proud of them. I'm really proud of those good old boys. So, that pretty much covers all the bases in college football. So, we do have some hockey to go over. What happened in Pittsburgh this week, Skippy, my boy?
Yeah. All right, so the Penguins, who are sick from the Metropolitan Division, had a interesting week. I'll tell you that. We started off by playing the Rangers. We lost them 1-0. Then we lost to Sabres 2-3. Then we beat the Maple Leafs 3-2, and then we are currently playing the Predators in the second period 1-2. So it's not been a great week. It hasn't been a great year, honestly. We are 10-10 right now. Again, as I said, sick.
They're middle of the pack. They can get things going later on in the season, but
yeah.
Same with the Capitals have been lately. This core is just getting old.
Yeah.
And I don't know, these guys that were really good in our childhoods, these guys are getting older, and you never know what's going to happen in the future. What's the upcoming schedule for Pittsburgh in the coming week?
Oh, I just closed the tab. Well, I know we're going to be playing the Lightnings.
Oh,
we
boy.
will be playing the Flyers. They're pretty good this year. We'll be playing the Flyers again 2 days in a row, and we'll be playing Lightning again. So it's kind of
Flyers being good is kind of shocking because I did not expect them to come out of the gate
so weird
this year.
And then Lightning, they're pretty good this year. They're 10-7.
Yeah, well, the Lightning have won 2 of the 3 past cups, so I expect to see them back in the conversation. But meanwhile, in Washington, the Caps had a little bit of a thing going right there. They had a 5-game win streak going in. Then until last Friday happened, and me and one of my boys decided, hey, let's go to the Caps game. And you know what happens when Timmy goes to a DC sporting event? Stuff like this happens. The Caps lost 5-0. That game was terrible. TJ Oshie got hurt. That was like bad. They called off an Ovechkin goal at the end. Ovechkin had scored a goal, but then they said, "Oh, the puck drop was bad" or something like that. And I was next to this one guy. Well, we were next to this one guy, and he screamed a lot of bad things that I can't repeat on this children's podcast. But I will most certainly agree with that man's sentiment that the officiating in that game was terrible. Then came the game on good old Monday night versus the Sharks. The game started at like 10:30. I had fallen asleep, so I had woken up in the third period of that game at like 1 a.m, seeing how this team cannot score or do anything. Kuznetsov got the lone goal, but then the Caps ended up falling 2-1. And the Capitals right now are standing at a respectable 4th in the Metropolitan Division. They're 10-6-2. They are they have 22 season points right now. They're 1 point behind Philly and 2 points behind the Hurricanes. And in the wild card slot, it looks like they're kind of safe. They're leading over the Maple Leafs by a point. But the coming up schedule is going to be against the Kings, the Ducks, the Golden Knights, and the Coyotes. All these are going to be West Coast games, so I'm probably going to be sleeping through most of these games, unfortunately. However, it was nice to see the Capital One Arena. That was a really nice arena. My first time being there in a really long time. So that was nice to see, even though the on-ice product was really subpar.
Yeah.
Well, what can you say? It's life of DC
What
sport.
Can you do? That's true. I believe rugby will be starting up soon for Brendan, so next time he shows up,
we'll
get some insight there.
Yeah. And we do have a little bit of NASCAR stuff on the docket this week. Toyota unveiled their new Camry model, which, for those who haven't seen it, it is, I don't know about it. I'm not a big fan. I really think they could have gone with the Supra there. I know what Toyota had to do. I know they had to go with their flagship model. But, come on. You got the Camaro. You got the Mustang. You can't have the Toyota supercar in there. You can't have the Supra. Come on. It is a shame, even though Ford did unveil their new Mustang, which looks pretty similar to last year's. But Chevy's really going to be behind the ball next year since they have this second half of the season. Chevy really did not perform as well as Toyota and Ford have, and I really don't know what I'm going to see next year. And I'm not excited for what Chevy has next year. I know Elliott and Larson are going to be good. I know Kyle Busch is going to be good. I know Ross Chastain is going to be a contender. Chevy as a whole, I am worried about going into 2024.
Yeah.
And that's all we got for NASCAR this week. But we do have a little bit of F1 going on as Max Verstappen won, 19 of the 22 races this year? Absolutely dominant performance by Max Verstappen. And, those Red Bull cars winning it again. That's Verstappen's third consecutive championship. And I don't see Red Bull slowing down at all. So good on him. And that pretty much concludes everything I have to say this week. Any other notable things you got to say this week, Skippy Bubba?
Not particularly. Thank God.
Well, actually, I do have a little itty bitty thing to say. It was about midnight. It was past midnight, actually. And you know what I found out last night, my boy? The Wizards got a win.
What?
The Wizards won a game.
That's
incredible. Wizards beat the Detroit Pistons 126-107. The Wizards actually did something. And when I woke up, I'm like, okay, this is a dream. I'm going to check this when I wake up in the morning, and I'm going to see the Wizards got blown out. But no, the Wizards actually did something, and that cements their place second to last. They're now on a 1-game win streak in front of the Pistons, who are on a 14-game losing streak. Yeah, I don't think that's really good.
That's really funny.
I've seen the Minnesota Timberwolves leading the West after them being like terrible throughout as long as my memory goes is really kind of goofy. So that's pretty much all we got in that basketball realm. College basketball seems to be heating up. I don't have all the stats on hand. I know Maryland's doing okay. But that pretty much covers everything.
That pretty much covers everything in sports. All right. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will leave you here. As always, if you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because it all helps out us. And to be new, nice sports news. What do we say at the end of every podcast, Timmy?
Well, I most certainly forgot a lot of things, but that's not one thing I will ever forget is keep on honking, gentlemen.
Keep on honking, boys.